Hello, everybody. Welcome to Different Perspectives podcast. This is our time together to talk about energy and various topics in regards to the world. Leanne and Mason Holitza are here. We discuss our differing viewpoints through the lens of energy work. Today, we're going to be discussing emotions and masks and the dissonance that creates. Myself, Leanne, has a background working in business before I found my true path and transitioned into energy work. And I'm currently the owner of the Healing Studio in Broomfield, Colorado, where I work as a healer and a teacher. You can find more about me at insightfulinspirations.com. Mason, my son, has had the unique opportunity to be raised in a subtle energy-aware household where more than meets the eye is not only validated, but encouraged to explore. He's currently a student journalist at CSU, and you can find his work on the Rocky Mountain Collegian. You haven't published anything lately, though, have you?
No, I didn't get to.
Oh.
We only had like 3 issues for the end of the year.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they had to select because, they didn't print any.
Okay. So we're talking about emotions and the masks we wear. Where do you want to start?
Well, we could start off at a place that we normally start. How did you come into, like, when you're with your clients, how was your experience in the beginning with kind of trying to not take on all of these emotions that these people were bringing in?
Well, I think I couldn't start there because I had to first learn to get my own energy under control. So I couldn't even really start where there is me doing energy for other people, because I have to kind of start with myself getting kind of under control, if you will. So I had, actually really kind of given up on trying to I was feeling pretty discouraged about my own emotions and about being healthy. And because my body was definitely reflecting a lot of, troubles that, I had to have back surgery, and I had all these, diagnosed with celiac disease, and I had all these things that were going on that were basically boundary issues. And so I had to learn first to do my own boundaries. And, for people who are familiar with me, I curated the 5 tools of protection, which is grounding, being fully present, centered in your body, having a connection to cosmic energy, and having your energy field at least arm's length around you in all directions, and like with a protective shield.
I remember those 5 very well.
Yeah, right. And I've taught those in kids class and things like that. So yeah, this is where a lot of when I figured that out. I'm gonna put in the comments, there's a lot of books up on my store, that are books that I personally read that I found helpful in regards to healing. So like Radical Forgiveness is one. I really liked Sacred Contracts, which helps you kind of figure out, what your relationships are with people and what to take on and what's yours and what's not. The Heal Your Body, which is Louise Hay's book, where she talks about how the body parts and ailments with the body parts map to emotional issues. So I just started to like conceptually get to that place where I started to understand that, oh, what I'm feeling is sometimes not mine, for one thing. And if it's not mine, how come I'm taking it on? And how can I stop doing that and only take on what is mine? And so once I started to learn to do that, then I could work more successfully with clients.
Would you say that you had a hard time with masking, especially in situations like, a good example would be your first metaphysical shop that you worked at, where you had to have how did you work in that kind of environment with emotions when you're already in this place where you're trying to deal with other people who may be a threat to you expressing them?
Yeah, I guess tell me more about what you're asking, because I don't
know if I should say names, but
don't say names, but just
the Lafayette shop where you were treated very bad.
Yeah, I know what shop you're talking about, but what particular observations did you make that you're asking about?
You seem to be in such a hostile environment. How do you deal with that and expressing your emotions at the same time, because you're doing this very complex work with emotions and energy and working with these people. And how do you deal with having that in the background?
So are you talking about the people at that work there or the
Yeah,
clients?
the people that work there.
Okay, well that's interesting. I'm actually writing a presentation right now for a Learn It Live symposium in June about taking care of workers and about empaths and how to kind of work on that during when you're at work, because that's a thing, to work in a toxic environment. And empaths actually oftentimes can find themselves in toxic environments because they actually have sometimes a little bit of a higher tolerance because they're kind of like trying to heal everybody and trying to make everything okay. And really, it's not super helpful to the empaths. I can't say the fact that you actually, I mean, how old were you when I worked there? You had to be pretty young. The fact that you know that there was any toxicity at all probably means I wasn't handling it very well. I was probably bringing it home.
I mean, I would just overhear things. I don't think that you were bringing it home. I think it was just that there was so many little things that were happening that were just like, oh my God. And I would say that you could even expand that with how would you deal with expressing and being okay with other people's emotions in a toxic environment in general.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, recognizing that they aren't yours, right? And that's really important. And that what is going on, I love that the Four Agreements book actually, but for this, it's not about you. It's not about you what's going on. So, I mean, I'm a very bubbly, laughing kind of person, and for the most part, not always, but sometimes people think that that's my mask, is to laugh and be bubbly. And I don't necessarily think it's a mask. I mean, sometimes I can use smiling and laughing as a mask. I can, and I know that that's a thing. But most of the time, I'm authentically trying to raise up and see kind of the humor in the situation and just how crazy we act all the time, and how unreasonable we can be, and just kind of laugh about it. But also, I'm not super awesome at great setting boundaries. What about you? How do you deal with toxic work environments? You worked in some.
Um, I wouldn't say I had really toxic work environments. I had very, I don't know what the best way to describe it. When I was a soccer referee, I had to deal with parents who were just out of their mind competitive for their kids. And even now I'm dealing with, actually recently I'm dealing with a lot of toxic people outside. Like, that aren't supposed to be part of my work environment, but they are.
So these are customers.
Yeah, who don't like COVID policies. And
Right.
they decided
That
to
they
tell
have to
me,
be so rude.
yeah, and they decided to tell me their mom, like, you don't have to speak your mind all the way.
Well, so what do you do? What's your techniques?
Um, I think one of my defense mechanisms, maybe it's not a good way to deal with it, is I'll be very passive aggressive. Like, if someone's being insulting to me and shouting curse words in my face, I'll just kind of be like, "Have a nice day," and just walk away.
Well, that doesn't sound like a bad strategy, but does that make put a mask on? You're not how you're truly feeling.
um, I don't know. I feel like that I kind of express. I would say it differently, but you're right. I kind of have to mask. I think we're told to in a work environment so that we don't make our bosses look bad.
Yeah. And that can create some dissonance really badly, right? I mean,
And I think we talked about this last week, how you're kind of forced to put on a mask, especially in the service industry in the US, because restaurants don't like to pay their workers wages. And
so
so all these waitresses just have to put on a smile all day, and waiters.
yeah, it kind of, what comes to mind is that Incredibles, seeing that movie, the Pixar movie Incredibles, where he's an insurance adjuster or whatever, and he's trying to help the little old lady, and the boss is like, "You're not supposed to do that." I think that there's a lot of things we're asked to do that sometimes are compromising to our own morality and things like that in work environments. That can be intense. Um, but I mean, I think to a certain extent, if we could be more real and more authentic to a point, I mean, I've seen the pendulum swinging a little bit too far in the opposite direction of I'm going to be so in touch with my feelings that I'm going to talk about them all the time and never be productive anywhere because I'm going to be, more about what my triggers are.
Yeah. I think that everyone's definitely gotten better because of these outspoken people. I think there's a large movement for people to be themselves in a work environment.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been working, those progressive movements, because I think that a big part of that was like even hair, tattoos, piercings, and they're all starting to gain like a lot of more acceptance because they're just expressing their personality.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always unspoken rules around that stuff. I think, you know, that we go through trends of, long hair's cool, short hair's cool, tiny bodies are cool, round bodies are cool, like, and it's always like, something different. And if, you kind of can't chase the trends too much, so I guess I see an acceptance for some of the things maybe you're interested in, but I actually see there being some judgments about, other people. So think about somebody you might judge in regards to how they dress.
Mm, there's not much. I mean, sorry, but if you're wearing a Trump shirt, and I'll judge you on that. But
There you go, right?
but
You have
I
something to
feel
judge
like
somebody
you've
about.
given me justification for that based on like just pure statistics, like the number of people that I've run into who've been wearing Trump shirts versus the number of times I've been cursed at by a random stranger seem to line up pretty well.
Okay. So you're drawing a correlation based on your experiences. And maybe those people who are wearing Trump shirts are like over maybe partially what they're angry about is that they're done wearing masks. And I'm not talking about COVID physical masks, but done being told that they have to be something that they don't feel like they are.
Well, yeah, I think that's true, but I also think that there's good examples like you're just gonna not wear pants and say that that's who you are.
Well, there are some nudist colonies and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean it's a hard topic, right? Because I think there is the need to kind of have some social conformity. Like we all are going to drive down the same side of the streets, so that we don't run into each other and follow the stop signs and stoplights, the rules of the road, so we can cooperate as people in the world. And I think we do that with our emotions too, right? Um, I
Well,
mean, there's definitely some people who I know who are very attached to their neurosis and make everyone in the room very uncomfortable because they constantly need to be expressing up, how upset they are all the time.
yeah, and I think that um, being a little bit more internalized when you're in public settings is important, but that's why being private and working through all that is so important too.
To be authentic somewhere.
Yeah, but I think that there is, like you said, that line of where you can bring your issues into.
Right. And I think there's a variance of it as far as like, some people don't deserve your energy. They don't deserve your vulnerability, right? Some people, if you're feeling upset about something and they are not somebody who would respect and honor you, they don't deserve to see that softer side. And only certain people who have proven that they are protective and kind can do that for you. And I don't know that that's the same. It's just difficult with energy, right? Because if I'm sitting here feeling really angry at you and I'm being very nice to you, the energy exchange is kind of it's wobbly
Yeah.
because my emotional field is not congruent with my physical expression.
Well, I definitely think that everybody has a hard time um, finding that person that they trust enough to share that energy with. I think there's always that hesitation.
But don't you think that it would be if we could get more and more healed, more of us could be able to hold space for each other's feelings?
Well, yeah, I definitely think that, and I think that the problem is that so many people have internalized it and victimized themselves that they don't feel like they can like join other people in being healed.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people who don't feel like they can be healed.
Yeah, true. True. Tell me more about what you've experienced.
I think it's mainly just seeing social media because there's a lot of people who are just like very much self internalizing and victimizing, and they just don't want to be helped, is what it seems like. And they are reveling in their pity, if that makes sense.
Victim energy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and there is a difference between a victim energy and emotions. Victim, you can feel hurt, you can feel slighted, and then take responsibility for those feelings and do something with them, and still set healthy boundaries and things like that without having to go totally into the victim space.
Yeah, I feel like it's like getting broken up with, and then you open up your window and you start shouting to everybody, "I just got broken up with."
Do you know that that's happened?
No, that's the comparison I draw about doing it on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like if we didn't have the social media platforms and we were just doing this physically.
Yeah, people just be shouting that stuff out their window.
That's funny. Um, well, why do you think people are doing that? I mean, obviously, social media can be a mask.
Validation.
Yeah,
They want their pain validated.
they want their pain validated, which I mean, don't we all?
Yeah, but I think that self validation is more important. Being able to say, okay, this is valid pain. And if you get it from someone else, then you're not actually validating it, is what I think.
Yeah,
Is if someone else is telling you, oh my God, that's so terrible that that happened to you, then you're just dropping back deeper into the victim energy.
yeah. I mean, that in that space, I think you could have some a compassionate witness where you can say, "Oh, I see your pain. I see that you're in pain. I don't judge it, and I don't ask you to be anywhere different than where you are." But then not adding to it and being like, "Yeah, that sucks, and that was really bad, and oh my gosh, you should blah blah blah."
Or I feel like there's also this other end of it where they just drag them deeper into it and they say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that that happened to you. That's so terrible. It's so bad. And they just keep building on it and they
Yeah.
make it sound a lot worse. And they're just like, we have to talk about this terrible thing for hours on end.
Right. So what would you do instead?
Move on. I would process and move on.
But how would you help that person who's obviously reaching out for some sort of help?
I would be present with them. I wouldn't be overly like, I don't know, like I would be compassionate, but I wouldn't be smothering.
I mean, obviously I'm on the old person social media of Facebook. And I really like that they put a care button where it's a little smiley face that hugs, it's hugging. Because that doesn't have to validate the victim, but can just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I care. I care
Yeah.
that you're hurting." Um, well, and I don't know. We kind of talked about um, the dissonance again between like what maybe we're feeling at certain events or around certain people and what we're actually expressing. Sometimes it's a coping skill and sometimes it's not healthy. And it's hard to know the difference, I think.
Well, I think that there's a lot of the way that we express in public is based on like what's already ingrained into our brain on what's acceptable.
Right. So, and some of us will put up with a lot before we will put
I
a
will
boundary
definitely
down.
put up with a lot.
Huh?
I will definitely put up with a lot.
Yeah, and maybe that's not a good thing.
I mean, I mean, I don't really take offense. Like the best example I could think of is just somebody shouting curse words in my face. It's really hard for someone to upset me, and I think that it's because I'm not letting them upset me. I'm like,
So energy wise, how far in does that, because that's called a whack. When somebody's throwing energy curse words at you and being really mad at you, they're whacking your auric field. So they are causing damage. Like you're like a moon with craters being made. How deep did they go?
but I'm genuinely just in my head going, "Oh my God, this guy!" And it's not like I'm mad at you for swearing at me. It's like, "Oh my God, this guy doesn't deserve my time."
Okay. So
And so
you
I
do have an energy barrier up.
so yeah, so I literally do not put my energy into the situation. I am completely separate from it.
How do you do that?
I'm just saying the words, and my brain's just off in a completely different place. I don't know how I do it, but that's what I'm doing.
So your thoughts, you have discipline over your thoughts and where you allow them to go.
Yeah, because I'm not thinking about the dude shouting at me. I'm thinking about, I don't know, the last YouTube video I was watching an hour ago.
Well, our thoughts are the resonance of our reality. So, or our reality resonates our thoughts. What is Okay, so that's one technique is to have something else more pleasant on your mind, assuming your YouTube video was more pleasant.
Or to just not let them have that much power over you.
Well,
That's
I mean, that's easier said than done.
yeah. I don't want to put down other people, but I don't know what it is. I just can't get upset that easily.
Well, so okay, so what about, I mean, so we can whack other people too. We can have so we can have a smile on our face and emotionally be sending out, forget you, So, but that also costs us energy when we start sending stuff out
That's what
like
I'm
that.
saying. It's just about not even putting that in, about not even acknowledging that they're affecting you.
Yeah. But are you in dissonance where you're like not letting it show, but you're actually internally spewing off energy?
No, I think internally I'm very much like, um, oh my God, this guy is shouting at me. This is awesome.
The drama being. I think that
I
sounds
know.
like a drama being. Your drama being might be in place. So how do you experience, let's just talk about you and I. How do you experience my emotions? Do you experience them directly or do you feel like I mask with you?
Mm, I think it really depends. I think we talked about this before, but family events, you definitely have this big mask on. And I can understand why, but I can definitely tell the difference between when you are and when you're like at home.
Well, so let's say dad's 50th birthday that we just had. Was I wearing a mask?
No, I don't think so, actually, because I think you genuinely wanted to be there.
But there's times when you can tell I don't want to be there.
Yeah, like when you're cleaning at parties.
And do you think other people feel that or they're just totally oblivious?
With our family, they're pretty oblivious, but
Yeah. So, I mean, so you perceive that if they don't notice or don't say anything that they don't, I mean, if they don't, they aren't really actually feeling.
as far as I can perceive, I'm being the most perceptive person in the room.
That's funny. Oh, family events. Um, but you can tell there's a difference.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of why I draw the comparison because I can definitely tell a huge difference.
Well, so give me some clues to when I'm wearing a mask and how you can tell.
It's kind of like this. You're like this, the opposite of a drama being, like just this avoidance, just avoiding having a complicated conversation, or if someone's telling a really, really long story that has no end, I can just see it on your face.
I often joke I do not have
Yes.
a poker face. I do not.
I think you do.
You think I have a poker face?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you said you could see it on my face when there's somebody telling a really, really long
I
story.
can, but nobody else seems to.
What's do a demonstration? What's my poker face or my face of
Just
like long story?
mm-hmm. Yep.
That's funny. Oh goodness. Well, so at home though, do you think I wear masks at home?
No, I don't think so.
Do you wear masks at home?
Yes, sometimes.
All right. So you wear masks at home with your parents. Do you wear masks at home in your apartment?
I think there's a few because I don't know, I think everyone has a side of them that's just too weird to express to other people.
Well, that doesn't mean you have to be masking. That just means you're reserving it for private spaces.
Yeah, but I don't think I mask. I think
No,
I think I'm pretty expressive.
and at home you do though when you're with us.
Sometimes. Not all the time, but there are sometimes.
Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, I was trying to think of one. Um, when I'm watching something that I was compelled to watch in the living room is a good example. Sometimes I will put on that mask and just like sit there and be present and try. And
Oh,
then
because we're like, sit with us and watch this show with
yeah,
us. And you're like, oh God.
sometimes yeah. And then there'll be other times when I'll be genuinely invested.
Your brother does not wear that same mask. He just says, this show is stupid. I'm not watching this.
But I feel like that's more of a courtesy thing.
Maybe. I don't know. What about dad? Do you think dad wears masks?
Yeah.
More so than you or me?
Hmm. I would say that he does. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, not to call him out on anything, too. He's probably listening. Hi, Dad. Um, what's your like? What's an example of that, and how can you tell?
Not displaying the pressure he feels. I don't feel like he expresses that very much.
Hmm.
Right. Maybe he bottles it a little bit.
Okay.
Um, Especially if like there's something that has to get done, like dinner has to be made or breakfast has to get made, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So you think he just takes the pressure and just bottles it up,
Yeah, I think that's
turns into a little steam engine?
yeah.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. um. Well, and then what about your brother,
No,
whose claims to wanting to be on this podcast with us, but
he's
has yet to
16.
join us? He's 16. Yes, he doesn't mask much.
No. um, I think the biggest difference is I mask anger here for sure.
Hmm.
If I'm mad at someone, I'm not gonna. I mean, certain people's girlfriends.
Ah!
um, I will mask it for his
Light.
yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, there's some places, like I said, where it doesn't make sense to even try and give the energy of the expression because they're not going to be honored or held in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had kind of a quiet audience today. No comments. But shall we talk about what we might talk about again another day?
Yeah. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I guess I would like to explore further with you maybe relationships and how you see certain things in regards to just, I mean, how you see relationships evolving as a whole with regards to like how you see us. I mean, I know every generation has their own way of doing relationships, right? And so you've got some energy awareness, you're attracting people who sort of are curious about it. I'm assuming you're attracting people who are energetically curious or at least somewhat aware. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots.
So, and didn't necessarily get that opportunity. So I mean, I don't know. I think maybe we could talk more. I really loved the story you told me about, and we don't have to get into the specifics about it, but just where you asked the question of somebody you were in a relationship with, are you asking about this out of fear or desire? And the person could admit that there was some fear there. And then you said, okay, well, let's back off on the fear. That's not making decisions out of fear. I think that was very wise. And I think maybe we could talk more about how you're utilizing those questions of like how to make choices out of love, not fear in your relationships and where you maybe are still struggling with that kind of stuff.
Okay. That
What do
sounds
you
good.
think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So wondering if I wore a mask at drum circle. So I was at a drum circle with Melissa. And I wouldn't call it a mask. I would call it more like it's funny. I get this image of like getting into a really cool cold swimming pool and just like kind of like keeping the tender parts out till the very last minute. It's not like a place where I'm easily acclimated and know what's going to happen or what's expected of me. And so I think it was just more of of a, you know, it wasn't necessarily fakeness, but a reserved. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Was it a cultural drum circle, like a Native American?
It was just a no, it was just a fun um gathering of people around a fire with instruments, mostly drums, just kind of spontaneously, getting into a beat and a groove together for the sake of connection and clearing. And I think for me too, sometimes in these group settings where like that, I was doing the little giggle thing she says. Well, maybe I was wearing a mask. Um, I feel like in situations like that, yeah, she's saying spring equinox, where there's there's possibility of an expectation of me in a way when I'm not in my element, like if I'm being asked to be an energy healer when I'm not at my energy healing work. As I think sometimes I get a little like, is that going to be requested of
Circles
me?
are very spiritual things, right?
Yeah.
They're primitively ingrained in us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a total resonance with the drumming. I don't know.
I am.
You
That's
are? You like it a
one of
lot?
my huge things is like bass from like a speaker. So drums is a big thing for me.
Yeah. So maybe you would like a drum circle.
Yeah, I would love a drum circle.
I don't know what it is about. I don't know. It's not like something I would be like, seeking out or
Like that feeling I would want to have in my chest that I get from going to festivals where you just feel.
So Melissa's saying we'd never want that of you. Now you can you and she says let's go to these drum circles together.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, Melissa, you can't control what other people do and what other people expect. And so, I definitely have had some experiences, and my boundaries are not super amazing sometimes. So yeah. All right. So we will talk about relationships and making relationship choices out of love, not fear, and how to stay on track with that. How about that?
All right.
Okay. Thanks for spending time with us, you guys. Thanks for your comments, Melissa. Thanks for all of you who are watching and listening. We see you. I know most of you are listening after the fact. That's totally cool. If you like these topics or you want to suggest them or have questions, let us know. The best way to encourage us to keep doing this is to help us grow our listeners and tell people about it who might want to hear. All right. Bye.